I mean, I think it really is just a speed thing, and I mean, the Gen 1 is so slow compared to the Gen 2. The Gen 2 is just lightning fast. And because when you're transitioning up into the ceiling, you got to do 3 or 4 scans to get the alignment right. It ends up that would end up being like a 10 to 12 minute operation, for BLK 360 Gen 1. And I can do it in like 4 minutes, in with the Gen 2. So
The Viz isn't helping you at all on that, on going up to the ceiling?
uh maybe a little, but yeah, it depends,
I am trying to figure out how I'm going to do a 5-day long survey in 2 days. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Well, I can help you with that.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
amazing because I need to have the exterior done for the Can Slam before the end of the month. And I've only got 4 days left of work. And one of them is convocations.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the trick is work faster
Yeah, that's right.
and don't take breaks.
I'm like, if only I didn't have a full schedule of meetings, that would be really
The
fantastic.
trick is just stay after it.
Because they sell 5/8 to 1/4 inch adapters, and you could stick, these magnets are strong enough, your BLK 360 is so light, you could just stick these on anything metal and just scan.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought of that. I guess the challenge is just getting those transitions, between the
Karina!
Look at you.
Hello. I thought I better pop in while I can, and then I got to run. So
Yeah, good luck.
Correct.
thanks.
Our performance tonight.
Hmm.
Oh, there's
Yeah, I had to drop her off and then drive half an hour home so that I could come to this, and then half an hour back for the 6:30
gosh.
performance. But yeah.
Good betting.
I've had a couple of phone pre-screenings, not even interviews, but then those kind of fell flat and I haven't heard anything for a couple of weeks. So you kind of get excited when you get a phone call and you get an interview and you think, or a pre-screening and you think it went well, and then nothing, no follow-up.
The floor flatness required, the concrete on is it has to fall within an allowable tolerance, right, for flatness, right, whether it's 25 or 50. So it's got to have an 1/8 of an inch, or a 1/4 inch and 10 feet deviation. I don't know, I don't remember, I'd have to be looking at the spec to tell you accurately, but the big part is when we go out with the scanner, right, like, actually, this probably isn't going to answer your question, but I'm going to take it on my own direction anyways.
I'm for it. You do it.
So we can measure accurately, and we can go out and tell them that this floor falls within the reasonable tolerance that is expected by the client or by the architect or whoever. But because the ACI doesn't agree with the method for measuring, they use the profilograph or whatever, right, for the floor flatness testing. I think that has something to do with what we're trying to achieve, right? We can repeatedly measure this. We can measure it within the actual allowable, within the specification provided. And then we could do that repeatedly, right? The other part is you can do all that, all you want. At the end of the day, they're going to go out and, just like you said, we're telling you you're an 1/8 high, they're going to grind it down. You can do that till you're blue in the face. A flooring contractor is still going to come in there with a straight edge that's 10 feet long, and they're going to lay that thing down, and they're going to actually know whether or not whether it's good enough for whatever their product is, right? Whether it's tile or whatever. So
Are you saying it's up to the interpretation with a 10-foot level?
No, it's not a level. It's a straight edge. It's
Oh,
just
I'm sorry.
straight.
I gave it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this is flatness. This isn't levelness. And tell you that what we find without really giving an opinion on it either way, right? Here's what we measured. Here's what you think it's supposed to be, and here's what it actually is. So you can either love or hate those results, but that's what we got. So
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
one thing I'm curious about in terms of the testing methodology, how much how much does software play a factor, right? So it's multiple vendors. Is it all tested through each vendor's workflow? Is it all coming into one, platform so that the same
Yeah, which algorithm
operations are
decided this?
applied? And exactly, because I know, like some of the Leica stuff, especially when you get into like a floor flatness calculation, there's certain, random seeds for different operations and things like that where reproducibility becomes really tough to get precisely the same results.
And that's why they have like 4 different coordinate systems. And it seems like every time someone has a problem with their coordinate system, they're like, hey, we'll just add it as another coordinate system you can switch to, but it just overcomplicates the whole situation.
Yep. Well, that's why I don't own a hairbrush.
Yeah. Honestly,
Well, and then
I think you are right. Like, it was built for the AEC industry and they just don't really
Yeah.
care, right? Because most people that are using it to build blueprints. Now we care because we want to digitize an entire city, right? So we want to be able to put it back on state plane and have that scan data live in a city environment, right? So we can have as-built of everything. But
I mean, that's just like a text file, right? It's just a translation. Like it's not complicated, but it is a pain in the ass at this point.
But then even the order that you import things, I
Ooh.
opened my model before the data. Oh, I opened the data before the
Right.
Neat. Well, I'll let him know. I thought about tagging him for tonight, but I figured I'd run it by you guys.
yeah, no, I mean, it's always supposed to be an open invitation to anybody,
Oh, for sure. But he's actually trying to get a grant, so he's asked me to, add some input and sent me some documents and chatted me up a few times. He's really, really sharp kid. So excited to see what kind of stuff he comes up with in the future, but a little early, but
So is he just doing research, or is it like a startup sort of thing? Or
he was doing research when he initially reached out to me, but he has now moved into the startup phase.
Gotcha.
Pretty cool.
Cool.
To be young and so ambitious again, Swear I wouldn't have wasted it.
Doug, did you get a haircut?
I'm just starting out in a whole new industry, so I can't even say that my background really counts, because now I'm trying to go for environmental technician or technologist.
Do they have
And
nuclear projects there? And I mean, I know they have oil, gas, and chemical stuff, right?
yeah, not a lot in Alberta here yet.
Okay.
Mostly just oil and gas, energy, bit of mining.
Are you interested in doing that, or are you trying to?
I'm interested in actually like getting into some of the wildlife stuff, maybe. So, maybe wildlife sweeps, tree canopy. But I mean, I'm really kind of willing to start anywhere just to start getting some experience.
You guys graduated rather recently, so you probably wouldn't have the same feeling, but boy, I definitely felt like a tiny person among giant intellectual giants there. I mean, the 2 people that presented before me were presenting on their PhD thesis algorithms for point cloud.
I got to get up for that.
I'm just kidding.
It almost sounds like looking for work is very similar to owning a company. A lot of those things where you put a quote out and you hope for the best and you don't hear back, and then you're just like, reach
Yeah.
back.
I mean, I can certainly relate. I've been at this couple of months now. But that said, I'm now I have a 3rd round tomorrow with a company, so I'm kind of excited about that. But yeah, it was one I applied to months ago, and then they came back to me. I think I applied in March, so 2-3 months later they came back. So hang in there. Sometimes it
Well,
just takes time, but
that's what I'm worried about, is I'm wondering if I'm going to get nothing and then I'll finally get a job, and then all of a sudden all these other places are going to start calling me back.
What's your background, Sarah?
Well, my background is actually in accounting and payroll. I did that for 20 plus years.
I'm so
And then I went
sorry.
back to school and I took an environmental technology. It's a 2-year program at SAIT, and that's where I met Karina, actually. She was one of my instructors.
I saw her post something about you on LinkedIn there.
Yeah, she shared one of my posts, so I was kind of posting about what I've been up to while I've been out of work and out of school.
Nice.
And it could be even a whole different system using scanning to check the floor. So
Leo, you said that you do or you don't have an F number from someone.
in that job, the owner's supposed to test themselves. And
So
they didn't
Conco-
have it.
Conco
still-
writes in their contract that they exclude floor testing. So they don't ever do one unless they're asked to, or there's a scanner nearby, right, Leo?
Yeah.
So wait a minute, there's no F number and there's no scan data. So where's the problem?
No, it's the
So the
problem.
problem-
Flooring guy's trying to back charge for his.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, but they didn't prove that it was in or out of spec by any method, correct?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're just looking to stick someone with the bill, I bet, right, Leo? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's frivolous blaming.
And also the software, it doesn't matter what software they use. The deliverable gonna be, we're just gonna provide a questionnaire of some bullet points of what equipment and what workflow, just some general notes of the test, how they did it, and a Excel sheet, just some XYZ numbers. That's all we need.
So if you're talking about like your discoveries result in a $20,000 change fee, that's really not going to be sneezed at in most projects. But if you're talking about something that comes into the $500,000 range of, hey, this slab, whatever this is, it's so messed up that it's not going to meet your needs for the project. Like that is a tough conversation due to, accepted standards in our industry.
Right, that's
know,
a
I wanna
conversation you have to go
share-
have with the owners. Or the
Yeah.
stakeholders, and say, hey, this isn't gonna fucking work. Here's why. And we're gonna
Wait,
need
what-
more money, and
What
they don't like that.
What part is not going to work? The method or
No, the floor didn't work, right? The floor is so bad.
Okay.
It's not gonna work.
yeah?
Those are
Gotcha.
your words.
Hey, don't throw my words back at me, man. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't-
It's a shitty conversation. And what makes it even shittier is at that point, everybody who is underbid to get the job is all gonna say that your screw up held them up from doing their job, and they're gonna start back charging too.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah, it's a domino effect.
It's a nightmare, and that's why this is such a big conversation inside the industry.
And the other part is, I think that ACI is the one who says you can't use scanning for floor flatness, right?
Well, that's
Exactly.
exactly how it works.
Yeah.
You hear nothing if you have nothing, but as soon as you have something, everybody's reaching out. So
That's
That's
right.
why
no,
don't act so desperate. Like, so send in your resume, and then a day later said, you know what, guys, I've moved on. I chose a better job, and they'll be like, no, come back.
We want you.
No, not for me.
What
I'm a
kind of job are you
junior.
looking for?
I mean, this one that I've been processing, I had one ceiling height, including the soffit above it, that goes up to 18 feet, another one that goes up to 13 feet, another one that goes up to 11 feet. Yeah, I mean, it's just, when you open up the hatch, you get a little bit of light that floods in from the bottom, but when you look at the scan data, I mean, it's the bottom is all the HDR high vibrancy color, and then you go into the blue, blue and black, kind of attic area.
Yeah, I think honestly, the way that it meters, I've seen the same thing. So like, even if you're adding extra light, it's probably not going to be as bright as what's down in the room below.
Mhm.
And that's probably just a limitation of the fact that they can only take so many HDR images as it goes.
Because that's the other thing. If it's purely, everybody does it their own way and then compare the results to get kind of a general accuracy range statement or whatever, that okay, maybe makes more sense because now you've tried it a few different ways and you're just coming away with one takeaway. You're not saying, oh, well, this one was better than this one, which is better than this one, in a ranking style of like an industry shootout versus just kind of a baseline. Okay, across the spectrum, here's kind of the range the results fell into for everybody.
Actually, one of the manufacturers, the only reason they're participating is because they were assured this wasn't a scanner shootout.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let me ask. Okay, so let me ask something that was probably going to make me look stupid, and I'm trying to get my camera to come back on, but it won't do it. So you'll
Those
have
are
to
the best
imagine me
questions.
looking stupid. All right. So we're talking about
Those are the best.
concrete. Yeah, follow me on Instagram. You'll see it. So to explain it, the architecture of Revit has never been upgraded enough to handle large coordinate systems, right? So
Yeah.
you really will have to produce two sets of deliverables, in my opinion. Do your state plane or whatever you want to put it on, and then local coordinate system. But the good thing about Revit is that you can acquire targets from another source, or targets. Why did I say targets? Because I used the word acquire. You can acquire coordinates through a CAD file or some other means, so that even in Revit, you're using files that are on a truncated coordinate system.
I think we can all agree that FFFL testing is garbage and we need to do away with it.
You can't use that. You can't use that for any regiment.
I mean, you could have put that a little bit more PC, but I support that message.
I'll sit in the ACI meetings and I'll say the same thing. I think it's a garbage test. It doesn't do anybody any good. It gives a pass or fail, and there's no way to fix it, right? Whereas a scan will show you what's wrong, where it's wrong, and how, gives you an idea of how you can fix it, right?
So that's something we try to provide.
Right.
There's only one time 6 years ago, just that one. I can share the article to the link later after the meeting. That's the only one actually within a decade that's been done. I mean, not for other industries, just for concrete guys.
So, I mean, Leo, would you say we're kind of in our infancy of making sense of this?
Sort of for concrete. Because I've heard so many contractors either they got hurt from the third party because their measurement or whatever they did is not correct, or when they prove themselves that they're innocent, they were not trust. The client doesn't believe that the data you as the contractor provided using scanning, it may not be accurate. So, but there's no document can provide at least some basic or baseline for that.
Yeah, it's really tough because, I'm just, similar to you, D, I'm just hearing a million variables going.
And I don't know if you guys have ever been in the belly or the bowels of an airport, but it is disgusting and filthy down there. Like, imagine a Walmart dirtiness times 100. Like, I am filthy. I feel disgusting right now. So
I'm starting one in a week, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Where baggage handler system stuff.
Like, what does the color give you something you don't have otherwise?
No, not. Look, it's not critically important. The accuracy is really what matters. I do think seeing the coloration, especially with the photography, kind of helps BIM processors, see what they're dealing with. Rather than just an obscure object, they can see the color of a pipe, or they can see if there's scrawl, kind of on a pipe that says, chilled water, hot water, something like that, that might help them discern stuff, and so it's not so much that it's critical for the laser accuracy. It's more picking up the the richness of whatever other information is up there.
You're talking about concrete, and majority of the times that I've seen with concrete projects, Leo, I give you full reign to tell me to shut up. But you tell someone, hey, 1 foot off of this wall and 2 foot off of this wall, I'm reporting that it's an 1/8 inch high. Right. So, all right, that's accepted as truth. They go out and they grind it down. And then maybe we go out and do another scan. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's way better. That's actually in most of that area, it's 1/16 of an inch from the elevation that you wanted.
Yep. No, I'm not gonna shut you down. Mike probably, but I'm not.
Well, but I mean, like,
Go
we're
ahead.
talking about a highly. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So-
Whoever was talking.
This is Gabe. So, and I work in a similar industry. I think Leo does more concrete than I do, but we're in the same industry. We build high rises.
Okay.
The control is the variable factor for the most part. I think, if I take one scan point, if I pick a scan point, it's probably inherently just as accurate as it is with a total station. But if I take a range of points in an area and calculate, that location or elevate, let's say a z-axis, then statistically the point range that falls within that measured area is going to be obviously, again, statistically higher or more accurate than it would be with a total station. Because I can't take 100 shots with a total station. I could, but it'd take me a week,
Long time, right? So do you think that? So everything is up to interpretation, right? And statistics is one way of interpreting that thing that you're talking about, that point that you're measuring. So the measuring of any item by a total station is up to the interpretation of the person holding the pole.
Well, sure, but let's just for shits and gigs say that we're shooting this reflectiveness, right? So that
Okay.
we're actually comparing apples to apples, right? So
Sure,
now
yeah.
you take that away, right? So based on the same control, and it really comes down to the amount of measurements. Like you can't, like if you take one measurement with a total station, and again, you look right at the accuracy of it, where it's, plus or minus 2 mil, that's statistically, that's how well it shoots, right? So it's like plus or minus 2 mil at, whether it's 1 or 2 sigma in the vacuum, it falls within this 2 millimeter range every time. But the scanner measures I hope I'm not misspeaking. It's been a long time since I've actually talked about statistics, but if you feel free to call me out, because like I said, it's been a while, but the measurement's the same. The measurement is the same from a scanner to a total station. I mean, it's essentially the same aperture. It's the same tool, right? So one does 1 million per second, one does every time you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But basically this is just the ability to prove that it is what we said it was, and that one little outlier, that rock, is never going to make a difference for what we're trying to report with scanning.
Right.
Now,
It's not. It's
the
never
guy
going.
with the straight edge is going to go out there and say there's a high spot here, and he's going to take care of that. Now, what would be an issue is if there was 8 out of the 10 feet were high, right, and the edges were low by an inch. That's the thing with floor flatness. It's not even like the way that it's calculated. Leo, you might have to jump in to square this up, but the way that it's calculated doesn't necessarily mean that that floor is.
You would think like how intuitive all the other sliders are, they'd put like a little wheel on there or something, but anyway.
One of my biggest pet peeves is if you create a user coordinate system and then you go to import something, I mean, it doesn't automatically change it. So you have to change out of your, regular world coordinate system or whatever before you import, but it doesn't you can't translate it all around. It's a bane of my existence, to be honest.
Why don't I see this?
Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, busted. I am.
Pretty good trick.
It's super comfortable looking.
Get a green hammock, and the next time you can key it out, and you can be
Yeah.
hanging out over the Himalayas. Like, yeah.
Well, I noticed at one point it kind of like, it thinks that the hammock is part of my hair, so it's kind of in focus.
Yeah.
So, I ran into an issue on this last job where, the scanner ran out of data, like first, at first it was the tablet, that was my limiting factor. And I got the 2 terabyte tablet and that stopped being a problem. But now the 200 gigabyte limit on the scanner is what I'm hitting. And so, so now I think what I'm gonna have to do now is every night, I come back, I download all the stuff, and then clear the scanner and start over. The reason I'm mentioning this is just because the workflow I anticipated all being in Field 360. But but I haven't tested that yet with the intermittent downloading and clearing of the scanner. Up until this point, the data has resided on both. And so on this last job, I ended up having to basically start over with the alignment, because it wasn't uploading reliably from Field 360. So I had to get it all from the scanner and then kind of redo all the alignment. And so when you're doing it that way, you don't have the benefit of Viz alignment. And so having the extra 2 or 3 alignment scans to help you, ends up being kind of a fail safe. And so even if I can get the Viz registration, I'll still do 2 or 3 extra scans on those transitional points.
That's right. All right.
There's so many factors
yeah.
in what you just said, though, that I'm just like,
There's a million variables.
how is this?
Yeah.
It is scientific, but it's like not.
Yeah.
It's just it falls short of defining the reality. And
Yeah, so that was one of the reason, because as that was actually come from a lot of challenge from a contractor's perspective. People use this tool, use that tool, even use the tape. It's up to people how they interpret, how they use it, how they inspect the equipment, and if they use software, how they analysis. So yeah, it's true. There's tons of factors can affect the result, but that's one of the things we want to see. I mean, if you're gonna, so the contractor build a high rise building with 40 levels of elevator shaft, and some GC just hire a consultant to do a scan. How we can trust as a testing method from, let's say, either laboratory can do that, or how close at least there's 10 people can get within each other.
yeah,
Because if we talk about just like do the one scan and in the controlled environment, indoor, and we have everything set up on the same spot exactly, that's basically just comparing your sensor or the hardware.
okay.
But this is a whole workflow testing. Just see if just in a nutshell, if an owner think their building is off, the curtain wall doesn't fit to the concrete slab, they hire somebody, either a surveyor or the other third party or a consultant, and they say, oh, the contractor, sorry, you guys off here. Then there's no study or any document from concrete industry that can either support or at least give some guideline how this can be, or how good or bad it can be.
So it sounds like there's a lot of work in groundwater monitoring and
Yeah,
soil
it may sound like a stretch, but have you considered like trying to get into like safety? Just because the safety people are always concerned about.
I've looked at that, and the thing is I did
Some
this whole
overlap.
switch to get out of an office.
Well,
And a
safety
lot
might
of
be in
those-
an office. I mean, those guys are field guys, but there's just some overlap with the, with the department.
Yeah, okay.
I know that from working at giant companies that had, the safety department and the environmental department were essentially one unit, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'll look into that a bit more. Then it might be an option.
Yeah, hopefully. it'd be, and you know, safety people, they tend to, I think they make pretty good money. And I don't have to work super hard, so
Longevity.
both things that I'm fond of, you know.
And then we have, and I'm gonna screw this name up, Chimezi.
Sounds like you just got punked.
It's
Chimezi?
Chimezi. It's Chimezi. It's not very far from what you said, but it's Chimezi.
Shimmy.
What's your background?
Yeah. Sorry.
What's your background?
Okay, so I have a surveying background actually. I just finished my master's at the University of Calgary.
Okay.
And I'm still pretty new to the 3D reality capture space, to be honest. But I did get a chance to work with Karina and Alex last year during the Cannes Slam. It was a volunteered opportunity anyways.
It's supposed to be super precise single measurements.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
So since your check shot is more or less a monument, right? Because it's from a total station, you don't need as many of them. Whereas scanners need statistically many more to get an accurate median of all the shots, right? It's my way of trying to translate that. But I think, Leo, this is something that we ask our egghead friends, right?
Hmm.
No, not that.
Oh, the Stampede?
Yes,
Yeah.
what's that?
That is, it starts on July 4th
There
and it
you
goes
go.
for 10 days.
That's when you gotta do it.
Yeah, that's when I'll be doing it. Because I'm in Whistler for the 1st until the 7th of July. So I'll be
Oh
doing
yeah,
it.
it sounds like your life is really hard.
I know I got dance
So
competition to deal
busy.
with in Whistler.
Whistler is one of my favorite places, man.
She's a great
I-
dancer too, just saying.
I can't afford Whistler, but I'm going to be there because my kids need me there.
I don't think a lot of people can afford Whistler.
Like we just refer to it, we actually refer to it as the rich Americans Banff. That's
Oh, is Whistler in America?
no, it's in
This is
BC.
where we go.
Mm, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Australians that work there, though. That's why it's so fun.
And that's mainly because of speed, file size, all that stuff. But like most of the time, if I'm doing any modeling, I'm using the normals view, which I don't know if that's normal with most people. Most people I would say they do want to see color, but I've found using the normals display is like that, and that false colorization is almost as useful most of the time. Now a marker on a pipe, you're muted, buddy.
It's work, man. I did I thought I was killing it on Monday. I did like a 96 or 97 scans, and then I got up to around 126 yesterday. And then I finished the scope today, which is 143 scan stations, which is a lot, considering it's an 8-hour day. I started to put it together, and I think everything's going to come together pretty well using an RTC 360 with Reg 360. So they're pretty familiar with workflows. Should be fine. But it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's the baggage handler systems at the San Francisco airport, which is there's a lot going on down there. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in the belly or the bowels of an airport, but it is disgusting and filthy down there. Like imagine a Walmart dirtiness times 100. Like I am filthy. I feel disgusting right now. So
I'm starting one in a week, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Where baggage handler system stuff.
So I'm just curious about that portion of the testing as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Eric. Well, I'm glad you bring that up. I want to clarify that F number is totally different animal, so we're not touching at all on that. So there's just purely XYZ coordinate the measurement from the scanner. I mean, to Gabe's point, I think I'm on the same page with you. Like, it's a matter of, I think if you think about it, shoot that center of that target is for 100 times from total station, compared to your scan, there's thousands, like tens of thousands or millions of points. So, and basically their spec is very similar with, if one standard deviation of a couple millimeter, they statistically wise, the scanner has more data and probably can show more, more data from that. But I do have a question. In that case, Gabe, what do you think? Because if all the people gonna scan the same thing with the same control, and which the control should be coming from the total session, right? Assuming you agree on that.
I definitely agree.
So, but do you see total session as a more? What was that, Gabe?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Gabe.
Yeah, I was just curious, because there's some argument not. Yeah, that I heard before about between totalization and scanner, which one should be more, for setting controls.
Sorry, I'm losing you. I'm in an elevator.
Oh, yeah, you just came back. We couldn't hear you.
Yeah, you did now.
Yeah, we
We
lost you.
spoke too soon. So, and the other thing is, is this a single scan test? Because of course, multiple scans brings registration into play and all of that.
Yeah, so that ASTM standard is the interlaboratory testing method practice. So it really doesn't matter. It just as a testing method using this technology. It doesn't matter what scanner you use. Well, we chose to use the terrestrial one because we all believe that's the most accurate so far.
Well, Leo, let me rephrase that though, because I want to make sure we heard the answer.